said it was okay. So you think it's positive. I'm a very experienced interviewer, and I hear that doubt. And I say, wait a minute, that's not 100% yes. Can we drill down on that a little bit? And now they know that I've heard them, that I care about their input. And
will also be missed. And setting up these processes, to your point, infrastructure is the most critical part. Without all these automations in place, you can hire as many people as you want, but unless there is a stable SOPs are written, there is a process, job aids are there. They come in, they know what they need to do, they go and get it done. There is no you're just going to be burning cash. You're going to bring in people, and unless you set it up, nobody will set it up.
So you can go back to it. And it's more of an advisor. It's not an answer machine. It's an advisor. It's a recommender. It's somebody who analyzes what's out there. You get massively wonderful answers to questions about markets and trends and for buying process. Show me the best whatever, or show me what's available here. I have this thing. I want to couple it with that thing. Show me what I can do.
Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of What About AI Agents. Today with us we have Kristin Zhivago. She is president of Zhivago Partners, an author of Roadmap to Revenue, which was named Forbes Top 6 Marketing and Sales book. And she currently runs her own lead gen agency, and obviously they do a lot of work with AI agents to sell. I'm assuming, I don't know, she'll tell us about that. And she views AI implementation automation mistakes can lead to 50% credibility loss. And we had a similar conversation last episode where, AI is right 95% of the time, but these 5%, if not properly explained, can lead to a lot of frustration and a lot of lost and false expectations. So, Kristin, I'll let you introduce yourself to start. And yeah, we'll start from there.
All right. I've been a revenue coach for decades for companies of all sizes, from mom and pops all the way up to IBM, Dow Jones, Johnson & Johnson, companies like that. And I base most of my work on processes and keeping your promises, because marketing is nothing more than making and then keeping or breaking your promises. So I find that with AI, what's been happening is the processes might be broken to begin with, and now we're automating broken processes.
Yeah, that's something other people we've had on the show talk about, where you cannot have AI automate your organization if your organization isn't running like extremely well, or it's running on like tribal knowledge and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, Kristen, so tell us a little bit from your experience then, I guess, how do you sell AI? Because we don't want to make broken promises. We want happy customers. But nowadays everybody's promising, hands-free AI agents. I work with AI agents all day long. They're not hands-free. I know that. You probably know that.
Yeah.
Our viewers probably know that, but their customers don't know that. They think AI agents will do all the work and they will just relax.
Well, that's a false statement on a lot of levels. One of the levels is that the AI agent building platforms, which are multiplying like rabbits, every 2 seconds there's a new one, they're in beta mode. The whole business world is in beta mode right now, and this new software is living up to that label. I've been in tech for decades. Started out really early, back in the age of the PC and the introduction of the Mac and all that. And I'm concerned because I know the back end of tech and how things can be built without proper quality assurance. So when you actually go to use the software, it doesn't work. And the software now, especially AI agents, are making promises on your behalf. I had very nice gentleman create an automated campaign for us. And he built it was email outreach, and he built the emails with copy that we provided. But then he did that random thing that you do with Google where you give it phrases and it puts together things. And I kept going in and checking what AI was generating, and it was lying. It was just lying about there was a guy in avionics, and they said, the AI said, we've had a lot of experience in avionics, and I haven't had any experience in avionics. Our agency doesn't serve avionics. So I had to stop the whole thing because it was just making stuff up. And I think that's the biggest problem with all of this, one of the biggest problems. Another problem is that it's way more complicated than people assume. And you really do have to get into the weeds and do the kind of work that everybody thinks companies are doing, and companies are not doing it.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you think back in the day, they used to have those UI builders where no code builders, and everybody said no code, that's the future. And now you're expected to go into a terminal and talk to this thing for hours on end until it builds you something. So we went from no code to like textual control of a system that writes code. So, like, and to your point, I've done this email marketing and personalization. I've tried to get AI to personalize at scale, and it almost always made stuff up. And I've spent hours trying to tune these prompts where it doesn't, and it still made stuff up. And and if you have a reputation and you value that, if you're like a young guy, you're 18 years old, you're sending those emails out of India, and you're just trying to make your break, you're lying to everybody, okay. But if you have a reputation and then you start lying, people will say, well, why are you lying to us, right? We know you. So yeah.
Yeah, it's especially problematic when I've been trying to bring caring and love and ethics into the tech business ever since I was starting in the tech business. I'm writing a new book on the subject, and it's it's really bad when your reputation all these years has been based on truth, the customer's truth. The first thing I do when we get a new client is I've been years interviewing thousands of customers for hundreds of clients, and I always find out that the message that the company is sending out has little or no meaning to what customers really want, and something I call their mindset when they set out to buy, which is desires, concerns, and questions. So we're already missing the mark. And then you add this extra, very creative randomizer into the mix, and you've got a real mess on your hands. It has to be controlled. And the prompts are requiring, really good prompts are incredibly detailed. And if you don't come at it from the customer's perspective, you're just guessing, it's going to be a mess.
Yeah, and I one of the things I've noticed is, like, I'm in a knowledge management business, right? So we sell knowledge bases and knowledge management software. And it's really simple. People just want to go into a system. The system helps them organize their SOPs and whatever and build it. Now you put AI into the mix, and you're always trying to move forward. We have AI. And my customers like, well, we really don't care that much about AI. Or at least they don't care as much about different. So it's very hard to, like, what do they want, right? How do you find out what do your customers really want? And how do you evolve them into the idea of adopting AI on top of what they want?
Well, this is the silly thing about this, and my book spells this out. Everybody tries to guess what customers want. They think they know. And they even say, oh, well, I don't need to interview my customers because my sales guys are out there all the time talking to customers. All I have to say to the CEO is, okay, when was the last time you told a salesperson what you were really thinking while they were selling to you? And the CEO goes, oh, okay, never mind. So we get to interview customers, and it's very interesting if you ask questions the right way, and the questions are in my book. I spell out how to do this because I can't do it for everybody in the world, and I want everybody to do it. It's open-ended questions, not a survey. It's not a boring kind of fill in the blanks for me. It's just, how do you feel about our service and product? What was your experience? What was your quest? What were you thinking when you set out to buy? That's what you need to know, is what they were thinking when they set out to buy. And AI is not going to give that to you. They can do personas all day long, but they're not going to give you that information. They can also stalk your customers for you. Like, this is where they buy their groceries, and this is what they care about. If somebody followed you for 2 weeks, would they know what you were thinking when you went out and bought that special object that you had to have? Of course they wouldn't. This is all very specific, and everybody's treating it like it's some general thing. You can build a persona and it's fine. But what's interesting is an 80-year-old guy will buy a blender, let's say, for the same reasons as an 18-year-old guy. But you need to ask them these questions, and you only have to talk to, say, 5 or 7 people of a given type, and you'll get the answers that you need. Bankable, absolute, specific, in their words, answers. It's very simple. Anyone can do this. You have to hire someone that knows your business, understands customers, and so on. And they can't be in the business because people will be too polite. They don't want to tell you what's really bad. I'll tell you one little story. I was doing this for a tool maker company that made massive cutting machines for people who created clothing. And they were usually mom and pop stores in the middle of LA somewhere. And, they were from Vietnam or something. And they built this business on this one machine. And when the machine went down, their business was down. I happened to run across one of those guys in my interviews, and he was using the F-bomb the whole way through the interview because he was so upset because I caught him when the machine was down. And I finally said, I really would like you to talk to the CEO. I think he needs to hear this. So I got them on together, and the guy was so polite, he didn't use a single swear word. He was, so, well, sometimes, we have an issue with these machines. They will sugarcoat it if it's you inside. They won't tell you. So you have to have somebody outside, and you have to tell them it's going to be anonymous, that you're not going to put them together with their comments, and then they speak freely. And that's what you do. You do a report that says, here's what everybody said about X. These are nuances. Real marketing, real AI success is based on nuances and truth. And if you stay with that, if you stick with it, you're going to be 100 times more successful than doing it just, without worrying about those details.
So how does one approach? So you are suggesting hiring almost like an external firm to approach your customers and say, "Hey, can you tell us, like, what was the buying decision? Can you tell us why did you buy the product?" Can AI do that? Can we have AI agents approach? No, that won't be personalized because then people treat them like toys, right?
Well, the real problem is during the interview, somebody will say, I'll say, well, how was that? And they'll say, it was okay. That's not a resounding yes. The AI bot will put down, customer said it was okay. So you think it's positive. I'm a very experienced interviewer, and I hear that doubt. And I say, wait a minute, that's not 100% yes. Can we drill down on that a little bit? And now they know that I've heard them, that I care about their input, and they give me the real answer. I've passed their little test. Does she really care about me or not? I mean, it's like somebody once interviewed me by phone. It was a multiple choice thing, and I did it because I feel sorry for people doing this, even though they call during dinner and stuff. And I said, she said, here's the question, and then A, B, C, or D. And I said, well, actually, I'm not any one of those. I'm this. And she said, well, I don't have room for, these arbitrary comments. So she said, I'll just say C. Now, the CEO or whoever, the business owner, is getting that information and it's wrong. It's not the truth. And then they're acting on it. They're making decisions about it. It's false.
Yeah, it's very difficult when you're at a high level to get down to truth. Why the customers are not closing? Why are they choosing, let's say, your competitor instead of you? And it comes down to your point to them making a buying decision based on what makes sense to them, and you just did not emphasize their buying decision when you were showing them your product.
Exactly.
It's something that we don't do at Doxy really well sometimes. We have these customers, they come in and then they never talk to us again. But that's probably because we don't know, we don't know who they are, and we haven't done our own internal research, which causes a lot of revenue leakage. So how can AI be applied to this? Again, we're an AI focused show, right? So maybe you could comment a bit like how can the new generation of entrepreneurs start building out these systems?
Well, AI is wiping out whole industries right now, including my own. Digital marketing agencies are basically the buggy whips of the car era. Okay, if you're selling buggy whips and the Fords are coming out, you're dead. Or the travel agents when Expedia came out. My industry is dying as we speak. So I've been through this before. I've reinvented myself. I had an ad agency in Silicon Valley for years with my husband. We were very successful. But the Mac came out. I looked at my husband and said, they're going to use the Mac to create their own art. So he was our artist. I said, go ahead, retire, do, what you do. He built things. He was an inventor. And I turned myself into a revenue coach and started helping people market inside. So you really have to be focused on making a pivot. This is pivot time for anybody working where they're not like doing something with their hands. I have a friend who's a seamstress and she's going to be fine. But but anybody doing anything with business and computers and services that is creative or otherwise, they are absolutely out of business. So what you do is you pivot. And what we've done is we are now expanding this whole idea of finding out what customers want and combining it with market research.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you use ChatGPT or Perplexity or whatever you're using and ask questions the right way and come at it from all different angles, I can produce massively wonderful reports. And I also play them against each other. So I make sure that I'm not getting hallucinatory information. And it does happen. I mean, we know, we have a client we know very well. We've worked with them for years. And we asked some questions about them and their competition. And the answers were wrong. Absolutely 100% wrong. So we said, you're wrong. And they actually came back and said, you're right. We were wrong. And here's the right answer. It's kind of a crazy game and you have to get good at it. So you find a way to offer something new or amplify your services and make that the focus. That's how you pivot. You keep what's good about what you're doing that AI can't do, and then you add AI in for the things that you could never offer before.
Yeah, that's something similar to what we're doing, and it's funny you mentioned playing AI against each other. That's what my job these days is, just having orchestrating multiple AI models to talk to each other. To get to a sane level of a response, and eventually you'll get something good out of it. But it's not. I feel like a lot of like the new profession that's being developed right now is like AI coach. You're almost like coaching these AI models to answer correctly, and the people who do it well will have a use in this society because a lot of these manual tasks are being automated. So how has your kind of thought, like regarding the roadmap to revenue, how has your thought patterns changed? Because I'm sure with this new disruption, your whole kind of paradigm has evolved. So can you walk us through how do you see things now?
Well, AI agents, because that's what this is all about, are here and they're here to stay. I don't know how long because this tech train is changing tracks every 2 seconds. Um, Nobody knows what the future holds right now. Nobody. I don't care who you are. One of your speakers talked about Jeffrey Wood's book when Silicon off. I went out and bought it right away, of course. And I'm curious to see because I bought it today, so I haven't read it yet. I'm, this all reminds me of something Jeff Bezos said. He has this famous quote where somebody asked him, or I don't remember what the question was, but he said the question that he gets all the time is, "What's changing?" And he said the way they run their business is they look at what isn't changing,
Mm.
and he can build a whole business on what isn't changing. So two things that don't change for them are getting something on time, and I think the other one was selection. Oh no, lower prices. And he said, I could ask customer 10 years from now if they want it slower or more expensive. And the answer is going to be no, I want it cheaper and faster.
Oh,
So that's one of those conceptual ideas that help you move in the right direction and say to yourself, what isn't changing? And what isn't changing for us is my experience working with hundreds of companies and interviewing thousands of customers and knowing about this gap between the company, what the company thinks and what the customers think. That is a gap. That's a big picture kind of thing that needs to be fixed. And anything I can use, technology, whatever, to fix that is still valuable. So you have to think about your business and how you can fix that problem that you've set out. Most entrepreneurs set out to solve a problem. And you have to figure out how you can still do that or do it even better with the new tools. So we always use our company as a beta testing site. So we build agents for our own site with their own libraries. We started out with a platform that ended up being too buggy for us. The agent would disappear on certain days. He'd go to our site and David was gone, and they are a company that's got some methodology behind them and everything. They're focusing on the wrong thing and they're not building software properly. So we switched, went to another. We've gone through probably 3 or 4 different platforms. We're now on one that doesn't require any Python programming and it's all English, and we're able to replicate and make templates for our agents so we can go on and build different ones for different pages. And now we're offering those services to our clients.
can you elaborate on that? What do those agents do? Are they like chat agents, or are they what do they do?
They
Those
answer
agents.
questions.
So they're
So
like chatbots. Okay.
yeah, but better, because what we've done is we've given a entire library of our content, including my book, every blog I've written, all of the things, everything that's on our site. That's the library that feeds the agent. Now they can also go out to the general web, but all of the questions are answered with the content that we've given them in a private library that is not accessible by anyone else. And that's important to our clients and us too. It's a competitive advantage to have your own content. And then he doesn't just answer the question like a chatbot would, where it's just a routine kind of unsatisfying answer. He composes a new answer. And I check him pretty often and say, okay, I'm going to ask a question about our services and see what he says. And so far, I've been very happy, but it's because we've limited the library to our own data.
Yeah, I mean, we had a guest recently talked about the context because these bots they have a context window. If the data that you are serving is higher than the context window, it ends up going into the long-term memory or those RAG, and then it's horrible. It starts to make stuff up because it retrieves this, like, augmented retrieval is not really good, and it doesn't perform as well. If it's in context and it knows what's going on, it performs excellent. As soon as the context gets polluted, I think the whole finesse of these bots is shifting the context window, so it always has the correct context. I was
I agree
watching
with you. That's the big word these days, context.
context, yeah, because it's limited. You have like 120,000 tokens, 200,000, 500,000, whatever it is that they're putting in. And to your point, if the bot is trained, I guess on each page they have slightly different context, and they're an expert on that specific context of that page, it will result in a satisfying experience where the user gets what they want, and then they can, well, perform the action that you want.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point. I've been thinking a lot about SEO because we've been doing search engine optimization for a number of years now. And now they're calling the AI version of it the long tail keywords. It's more than that, though. Every CEO I've been talking to in the last year has stopped using Google. Poor Google went from 95% market share down to something like 25% or 35%. And that little AI snippet at the top is not solving the problem because AI, if you use ChatGPT, and most of the CEOs I'm talking to, that's what they mention. It was Perplexity for a while, but now it's ChatGPT. You have a private conversation, a very specific conversation. It's archived so you can go back to it. And it's more of an advisor. It's not an answer machine. It's an advisor. It's a recommender. It's somebody who analyzes what's out there. You get massively wonderful answers to questions about markets and trends and for buying process. Show me the best whatever, or show me what's available here. I have this thing. I want to couple it with that thing. Show me what I can do. You can't get that from Google. Google is like walking in, some bot walking in with 3,000 pages and strewing them all over your office and saying, the answer's in here somewhere. The other is, I'm going to process it. I'm going to analyze it. I'm going to take your, this is most important to you. So that's going to be the first thing I talk about. It's your own personal recommendation engine. It's very important. And people are not catching up to this fast enough.
I know if we spam Reddit enough with our offerings, eventually we will get picked up and recommended a lot. But what's some other things that you noticed affects it? I saw one company, they were actually posting blog posts that were just, they were using the entire conversation they had with the chat GPT, and they would post that as a blog post. And
Yeah.
because that, if the conversation kind of leads them to a specific insight acquired through LLM, and they post it, and I would assume that would get indexed and eventually it would funnel traffic back to you. But what are some other examples that you can think of, like, that people should be doing right now to
Well, I
get into those
watched this.
LLMs?
Yeah, it's very interesting. I watched this very carefully because one of the things we do, and I've taught copywriters all over the world, is we write content for clients that is, and a lot of our clients are B2B tech companies, that's useful. It's actually useful. And we know what's useful because we've interviewed their customers and we know what they care about. So we're not guessing. We're not doing what we think they're going to find useful. We're doing what they find useful. And we wrote for one client who made high tech concrete. Believe it or not, there is such a thing. And um, the article that has not only been at the top of Google, but the top of all the AI search engines as well, or these recommendation engines, is what is the strength of concrete, and all about the strength of concrete for their type of people that, and it wasn't an article that you would find elsewhere. It's the first time somebody's actually talked about it, especially as it related to these new high-tech concretes. Useful information that helps somebody do their job or improve their life is going to not only get you to the top but it'll be evergreen. We've had those articles stay at the top for years, even in high-tech moving, high active markets, fast-moving markets. So it isn't about some trick. It's just about all the other things with AI. Do it right. Do it for the right reasons. Get the right information. Do what the customer wants. What a concept. And then Google's main purpose, and even ChatGPT and all of them's main purpose, is to satisfy the client, the customer, with their answer. So all we're doing is taking what the customer wants, writing content about it, and then these guys, whoever they are, they serve it up because it's useful. That's the trick.
So kind of think about a question that the customer would ask uh, ChatGPT, and then you would frame an article around that, and then that article and be as helpful as possible, so then they can leverage your answer to us to the people who are asking the question. And
Right.
how long does that take to get picked up? So once you publish an article, how long does it take? Because they launch a new model once every like 6 months. So do you expect it to start to perform after the model launch, or how?
Well, Google used to change. I don't know if they still do, but they would change their algorithm like 8 times a day or something. And they wouldn't tell anybody what they're doing, of course. So it isn't about what they want. It's not about what the bot wants or the chat GPT or anything. It's about what the customer wants, because all they care about is the customer. Businesses are missing this whole point. Revenue comes from customers. And if you just sort of skip that part and think, oh, I know everything about this, I'm an expert in this subject, I know what people want, I've talked to my friends, and you guess, guessing is fatal. It doesn't work, and it means that I think 70% of all marketing money is total waste. It's total waste because they don't address the customer, and then they pick channels that are wrong for the customer. That's the other thing we find out. Where would you look for this answer? How would you look for this answer? Why did you buy from this company, and how did you buy? And then we reverse engineer those successful sales to make more sales in quantity. That's the formula. It's very basic. You just have to get past yourself and get over your ego about how you know everything, which doesn't work right now in AI anyway, because nobody knows everything now. You can't. It's like drinking from a fire hose. All
Well,
you can do
AI
is,
knows everything.
well, yeah, sort of. It doesn't know anything new.
Yes.
We're the ones that do that.
No, it's very true. It's very true. This is extremely insightful because yeah, these things are changing so fast, and you're correct to mention focus on what actually doesn't change. What Why are customers there with you anyways? Because they're not there for those shiny AI tools. When all this AI stuff, like last year, I wanted to leave my company and build a brand new AI company. And I started to build it, and I realized that everybody's building that AI company. But I have a company that already makes revenue and has these customers. And instead of, trying to assist my existing customers with AI, I wanted to build something brand new. And I wasted a year just running around playing AI, right? It
Yeah.
was fun, but you go, you meet investors again, and you feel like, but then you realize, okay, well, I have people who trust me with their money. They trust you with their money. I mean,
Yeah.
and some of them been paying you like for 5 years, so you must be doing something right. Just enhance that with AI, and that will be much more work. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We kind of did the same thing when this all started back last year. And man, I've pivoted so many times because of tech, and I finally realized it's what we're doing is correct. We just need to build some new ways to do it and amplify what we're already doing. And it's working fine. And once we understand what the customer wants and use AI to do this massive, deep competitive research, they still need somebody to implement it. And that's what the agency's all about. I have a fantastic team that gives companies what they need so they can grow. So you're absolutely right. You got to your core competency, and then you figure out how to bring AI into that.
Yeah, especially if you already know something and you have people who pay you, and it's like, no,
Yeah,
I'm gonna do something else. I'm gonna do
yeah,
no, don't do that because it's gonna take you 10 years to figure that out.
yeah.
So, tell us about your team. So, like, we have founders who are listening to the show, and they're looking for somebody to help them understand their customers. Because I think that's what us founders we struggle with. Because we build a lot of useless features for because we think that's what our customers want, and they don't even
Yeah.
care about those features.
Mm-mm.
So tell us a bit about your team, about your process. How does one get involved with your agency? Because that would be interesting.
I actually started the company, this company, after being a revenue coach for decades. I was realizing that there were a lot of people who had good established companies, but they were like deer in the headlights when it came to digital marketing and now AI. And it's all happening so fast. And I'm not talking only about people in their 60s and 50s. I think this is happening to 40-year-olds and even 30-year-olds, and that they don't realize it yet. You you have to get back to the basics. So again, we interview customers the very first thing. Doesn't take long, doesn't cost that much. I've actually made it really affordable. I used to charge, $5,000 or $10,000 for it. Now I just charge 2,000 straight across. Just, we want to get this done quickly, interview these people, and then present the reports, present summaries and recommendations. And then we discuss all this with the client. And now we have this one statement that says, this is what they're good at. And I was laughing when you were talking about features, because we had one client who thought that they had a software program, and they thought their main thing was how elegantly they interacted or with QuickBooks. And I interviewed their customers, and they were like, oh, everybody does that. It's like a baseline industry promise, like boats float, airplanes are only supposed to hit the ground when they're supposed to, restaurant food shouldn't poison you, things like that. Those are baseline industry promises. And they said what really excited them is they could run their whole business. This was anyone with field technicians, people going out to repair things. And whenever they entered something at the very beginning of a client relationship, it automatically populated all the other fields in all the other documents, the invoices, the POs, the directions to the house, and all that. So we ended up renaming the company. It was called Pioneer Interactive, which nobody understood. We changed it to Field One, like number one in your field, number one with these field, enter it once, and so on. Sales went like this, that we did a hockey stick, and he ended up selling the company to Microsoft for many millions, and got really rich off of it. But that was a prime example of what was so hard for them to do. They were so excited about it that when they marketed it, that's what they talked about. And their customers couldn't care less. So this is really important. Okay. So we find that special something that the customers said, this is what makes them different. And we then build that into your whole marketing. You're not wasting 70% of your money. You're actually making 70% of it work for you. And then I have specialists. So I don't hire employees. I have independent contractors who are specialists in their market. There's online ads people, there's social media people, there are graphic designers, which are actually also being very threatened by AI these days. Writers, good writers, tech writers, just good business writers. So I've hired specialists in each area, but I've also, the first person I hired, and I need to say this for the entrepreneurs, was an infrastructure manager. Because as a marketing expert, as a process expert, I realized over the years that the infrastructure is the most important thing. And then you bring in the specialist to do the work, but you have to build the system first. And then the other thing with my business is I've made it a safe place for nice people to work. There are no jerks on our client list, and there are no jerks in the mix of all the people. So you've got a great system. You have a safe place for nice people to work, so they help each other all day instead of fighting each other and stuff. And they love it, and they've stayed with me since I started because it's just a wonderful way. You're helping people all day long. And people like helping people when you give them a chance.
People love helping people, and I feel like that's also being missed. And setting up these processes, to your point, infrastructure is the most critical part. Without all these automations in place, you can hire as many people as you want, but unless there is a stable SOPs are written, there is a process, job aids are there. They come in, they know what they need to do, they go and get it done. There is no, you're just going to be burning cash. You're going to bring in people, and unless you set it up, nobody will set it up. And that's one of the lessons I learned is that I have to set things up and then bring in people to operate what I've set up. You're building it,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Because and that's but having an agency in place who helps you understand your customers. I feel like what your offer is extremely valuable even to us, like even like for us at Doxy, we would love to have something like that at some point.
I'd
Somebody
love to do it for you.
come in,
It would be fun.
do these customer interviews and find
Yeah,
out
we'd
what
find out your special something. We'd find out the thing that made them buy from you.
the special sauce, right? It's like why do they buy from us? Because there's so much competition, especially in my niche, and these people are staying with us for 5 years, and I'm sitting there and I'm like trying to invent AI. I have people have been with me like for 5 6 years. They're paying me 6 years, and I am trying to go and find a build cool AI. Like,
The magic bean. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah. So this is an extremely valuable conversation, and I feel like it was very insightful, and I hope it's going to be insightful for our listeners.
Yeah, me too.
This is Kristin Zhivago. She is a revenue coach, and she runs an agency that you can. How do they get in touch with you if they need help?
Oh, just you can Google me or Chat GPT me. I've been writing and talking about all this stuff for a long time. But just type in Kristin Zhivago. Our site is called Zhivago Partners because we partner with our clients to get their revenue up.
I like that, partners. We used to say enterprise knowledge based partner because in the end of the day, your customers want somebody to be their partner and help them succeed, right? They don't want because we all sign up for those cold soulless SaaS platforms, and then they don't like there is no support, and they treat you like a piece of MRR.
Yeah, that's true. The first thing that happens when you call a company these days, and I helped introduce voicemail to the market years ago, and I've regretted it ever since. I mean, you go through voicemail hell. You just want to have your question answered. You want some nice old lady to be sexist. You say, "Hi, how can I help you?" "Oh, you need to talk to Bob. He's in the next room. I'll get him for you, or he's out to lunch. I'll take care of it." That's what you need. Instead, you have to go through all these press one for this and two for that, and you're also saying at the beginning of the message, "Please listen carefully to the entire menu because we've recently changed." Now, that's a lie, okay? You're lying to your customer when they first call you. These are the little things that make the difference. People are not as stupid as companies think they are, and they notice these things. They know when you care and when you don't.
Yeah, and I think that's a big takeaway. Because there's a lot of soulless AI companies that are being built, and they're trying to be AI. Some person should step down so ChatGPT can run her company. ChatGPT is the CEO, and I'm like, I can't trust this thing to write code for me half of the time, and I have to tell it like do this. You just have to keep telling it to do it properly, and eventually it gets good at it. But it's still it's far away from being this innovative mind that these people are trying to make it seem.
You know what
Yeah.
it's missing? And I just had this big aha recently. I was talking to one of my staff, and she's very strategic, and we were talking about what is missing from AI. And what's missing from AI is character. You know, the old movies where the guy wouldn't lie. And I mean, now we make these bank robbers into special people, and they're beautiful. You know, Brad Pitt and George Clooney and all that, and Julia Roberts, and they're robbing banks. They're stealing money from people. Character is what matters. Character is what we all want as buyers. We want somebody to tell us the truth and keep their promises. That's what we want. And if AI doesn't even know what that means, it's not built in. It's not, you know, if you're faced with a hard decision and you have to do the right thing and it's really difficult, that's character. AI doesn't have it.
And that's true. So, this is Kristin Zhivago. She's a revenue coach. Feel free to reach out to her, especially if you need to find that special sauce for your company, because we're all launching this SaaS AI companies these days. Everybody has them. Nobody's making money out of them. And most of the time, you should be making money. You just don't know. You're just selling the wrong thing to the wrong people.
Yeah, exactly.
So, thank you so much for joining the call today, Christian. I hope we'll get you back on the show soon.
Be fine with me. I enjoyed it, Philippe. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kristen.